There was a great movement in the field of art, architecture and literature in Europe from 14th Christian era to 17th Christian era. The intellectuals of this period wanted to revive the classical age of Greco-Roman time. Thus, it is called the Renaissance period. Art and architecture were developed by great masters of this period. Renaissance is divided into three major periods, namely Early Renaissance, High Renaissance and Baroque. The art of painting was enriched by master painters Giotto and Masaccio in the 14th Christian era, that is Early Renaissance period. 15th Christian era or High Renaissance was mainly dominated by Leonardo da Vinci, who was followed by Michelangelo and Raphael. The High Renaissance was spread in different parts of Italy, and there are different schools of painting styles in this period. High Renaissance painters were criticized by the painters of next generation in the 17th Christian era known as Baroque. Carracci, Caravaggio, Velasco, Rembrandt, Rubens and others defied the style of High Renaissance painters and defined their own style. So the Renaissance period contributed the great masters of all time of painting and set a trend of painting style for the future. Giotto, Lamentation over Christ. Giotto was the most important painter of early Renaissance. He painted many frescoes on the wall of different chapels of Italy. The Lamentation over Christ is an illustration of gospel story of Bible. It shows Christ's dead body supported by his mother, Virgin Mary. They are surrounded by weeping women. The heavenly bodies are coming down from the sky to lament over the Jesus. Giotto was not very confident of using perspective and left the background of his painting mostly blind. Masaccio, the tribute money. Masaccio brought about a revolution in the art of painting during his short life. He defined the depth in picture through masterly handling of perspective. The tribute money is one of the masterpieces of the artist in which he had developed atmospheric and linear perspective. The story narrates Christ's instruction to his disciples to pay taxes to the king. Except the two figures of tax collectors, all the figures have halo on their head to signify their saintliness. Leonardo da Vinci, Virgin of the Rocks. Leonardo da Vinci was a genius who contributed to every field of art, science and architecture, though he painted only few paintings, but all of them are treated as masterpieces. His paintings, Virgin of the Rocks, was painted in 1483. The figure of the Virgin and child infant Saint John and an angel are grouped to form a big pyramid in the lower part of composition. The artist has created a mystical and dramatic background in the painting with a strong light and shade effect which are coming through the rocks and trees. Michelangelo, his sculpture Moses. Michelangelo was basically a sculptor, but he is also equally famous for his frescoes in the ceiling and walls of Sistine Chapel. He created many beautiful sculptures in marble. The Pietà is the most famous of his works. Besides this, the sculpture of Moses, who brought 10 commandments from God, is equally famous. Moses freed his countrymen from slavery under the Egyptian and was considered the wisest person. Michelangelo's Moses is an old man with flowing beard sitting with the plaques of 10 commandments in his hand. The most interesting part in the sculpture is the two horns on his head. These horns are interpreted as a symbol of the rays of wisdom. Raphael, his masterpiece Madonna. Raphael contributed to the development of the images of Madonna in his own personal style. The Madonna and child theme was used by Raphael for a number of paintings. Belle Jardiniere is famous painting of Madonna. It shows the Virgin is sitting along with her son and Saint John. Everything is simplified to emphasize the beautiful integration of form in the central group. Raphael followed the same pyramidal composition of High Renaissance but maintained the articulated pattern of line and color to emphasize the effect of form in space. Giorgione belongs to Venetian school of High Renaissance. Giorgione developed a Venetian tradition of colors, which are more transparent and tranquil in effect. The picture is called Judith, a biblical character who saved her family by killing an Assyrian general. She is standing very gracefully with satisfaction after beheading her enemy. She puts one of her feet on the truncated head of her tormentor. She is holding a long sword in one hand and the other hand is kept on her waist. The treatment of the drapery is amazingly realistic with all its tactile quality. Titian, his finest composition, Bacchus and Ariadne. Titian created enormous number of paintings during his 99 years of life. His method of painting was to lay in the composition first with a heavy loaded brush in broad strokes of colors. After that, he used transparent oil glazes to get shining effect. Bacchus and Ariadne is one of the finest compositions of Titian, which contains many human and animal figures. Titian's style of work was coming out of typically Florentine pyramidal composition. This painting is more crowded on the right side than the left side. The balance is created by the diagonal movement of the figures to create a wonderful composition. Rembrandt, his painting The Anatomy Lesson. Rembrandt is the greatest Dutch painter of the 17th century. He painted on different themes but made his fortune through single and group portraits. Rembrandt composed his portrait with lots of dramatic essence. The Anatomy Lesson is one such painting in which he showed a group of doctors was taking lesson of anatomy from their teacher. He created a dramatic atmosphere by using strong light and shade. Especially, the focus is on the dead body lying on the table. Peter Paul Rubens, the portrait of his wife. He Flemish painter of 17th century. Rubens created his works with naturalism and secondary colors. The portrait of his wife is an example of his skill in handling soft light on the body of the model. The face is under the shadow of the hat, gives a luminous effect of secondary colors. The tactile quality of different fabrics over costumes is so realistically painted. He started to paint with his team of students who assisted him on different parts of his paintings. Caravaggio, Calling of Saint Matthew. The Baroque Italian painter Caravaggio set a new style in this period, which is characterized by use of strong light and shade. The Calling of Saint Matthew is one of his masterpieces in which he experimented with the facts of visual experiences. The drama in the composition has been heightened by theatre like floodlight on all the characters in the painting. The physical actuality has three-dimensional forms are rendered in terms of the contrasting light against the dark background.